All right, welcome, welcome, welcome. So, from busy professional to real estate investor, I'm just going to be straight up with you is that you do not need experience when you're working with me. You don't need perfect credit or a real estate license to get started. I do want to start off with a disclaimer, though, is that I'm not a licensed mortgage broker, realtor, attorney, or accountant. The information provided is for educational purposes only, should not be considered financial, legal, or real estate advice. Real estate investing involves risks, including potential financial loss. Results will vary, and past outcomes do not guarantee future success. Please consult a licensed professional before making any real estate investment decisions. The results I share are based on my own efforts and my own experience. So, hi, my name's Theresa Beneteau. I'm also known as Trailblazing Theresa. I've spent over 35 years investing in real estate and helping others create opportunities. I've been part of hundreds and hundreds of deals completed in Canada and the US, and I'm a coach and I'm a mentor. Now, that being said, is I didn't start this way. So my journey starts back when I was 20 years old and I bought my first house. And I was working two full-time jobs, and my parents had given me the down payment to buy my first house, which was pretty exciting. 20 years old, getting your first house, and I was all excited. And then for me, my reality was that what happened is at the end of the month, now that I'd been a homeowner for 30 days, the mortgage payment was due, the taxes, I was paying the property taxes monthly, the gas bill was due, the electricity bill was due. I had to pay the insurance. I had to make sure that I had insurance on the property, my hot water tank rental, which, yes, we do have in Canada. They don't have those in the US. Um, so I realized very, very quickly that I was what they call house poor. And I thought to myself, what have I done wrong? Why is it that I see all these other people have success in real estate? What's wrong with me? So I was driving around. I seen a realtor's sign on the lawn that he was selling another property. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to call a real estate agent and I'm just going to pick his brain. And I'm just going to say, what are my options? Really, at this point, I had nothing to lose besides my house. And I didn't want that to happen. So I got a hold of this guy. His name was Rick. And he comes over to my house and he shows up and he's driving this white sports car and he's got this brown suit, white collared shirt. He's looking sharp. And I opened up the door to meet him first time. And I'm there with my baseball cap, my sweatpants and t-shirt. Like I'm 20, right? I'm working two full-time jobs. I'm a baseball player, so I was intimidated, to be honest with you. And he came and he sat at my kitchen table and he's going wah 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 wah. And what I mean by that is that he is literally talking to me and I can't hear anything because all I can hear is the internal dialogue. All I can hear in my head is just give me a solution to, solve this problem. Where do I go from here? Help me. So I finally mustered up the courage and just saying to him, like, look, Rick, like, I don't know, am I going to lose my house? Like, what do I do? Like, why is everybody else successful and I'm not? And he says to me, he goes, Theresa, he goes, have you ever thought of wholesaling? And I'm like, Rick, I can't take on another full-time job. Now you want me to go work at like a Costco or something? You want me to go and take on a third job? Like there's no more time in my day. So he starts to chuckle and he says, no, no, no. He said, wholesaling. He said, it's when, you put a property under contract and you sell the contract and get paid. And I'm looking at him and I'm like, what are you talking about? I said, I can't qualify for another mortgage. He said, you don't need to qualify for a mortgage. I was like, okay. Then I said, well, Rick, I don't have money for a down payment. I just borrowed it. My parents just gave me the down payment for this one. Like I'm trying to tell you, I've got a bit of money saved up, but that's it. And he said, you don't need a down payment. And I'm looking at him like he's got 12 heads, right? And he says, I'm telling you, he goes, he says, you can make money in real estate without doing that. So I literally leans in like this and I'm kind of looking both ways, right? And I'm looking at him, I goes, Rick, I said, is this legal? And he sits back and he starts to laugh. And he said, of course, Theresa, it's legal. He said, I've been doing it for years. So I looked at him and I said, Rick, I said, all right. I said, look, I said, you got to teach me. You got to show me everything, you know, like, please, 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 please. And he said to me, he said, all right, but he says, I have 3 conditions. And I said, what are they? And he said, one, he said, you're willing to invest in yourself. He said, because I'm not doing this for free. I said, that's fair. I don't want to work for free. I don't want anybody else to work for free. I said, okay. He said, second one, he said, you're going to have to hustle. You're going to have to work for it. He said, money isn't just going to rain down on you. He says, he says, I'm going to show you what to do, but he says, you're going to have to take the action. And I said, that's fine. I said, I'm not lazy. I'm already hardworking. I'm already working 2 jobs. I already know I'm built for more. I already know that I'm made for more. I just need an opportunity. I just need someone to believe in me. I need someone to pour their mentorship, their coaching into me. And then he says to me, he says, Theresa, the most important thing is the third thing I'm going to tell you. And he said, he looks at me seriously, eye to eye, and he said, promise me you won't quit. And I looked at him. I almost had tears in my eyes. And I said, I'm not a quitter. And he said, all right. He said, I'll teach you what I know. And that is what I've been able to teach people over the last 35 years and implement it into myself. So I'm going to go through these slides. Why real estate is that real estate can create options that a paycheck alone often cannot. All I know is that real estate has paid me way more than $20 an hour, $30 an hour, $50 an hour. Real estate has paid me more than most people make in a year or 2 years. So this is where this becomes a game changer. The biggest myth is that most people think that they need a lot of money to start, but really what they need is a roadmap. Is that with a system in place and a step-by-step of exactly how to do it, it's amazing what you can exchange for money versus resources. And the one thing that I teach my students is how to be resourceful. It's not about knowing everything. It's about doing some of the things really, really well. What is wholesaling? Simply put, wholesaling is finding opportunities, connecting them with investors for a profit. Now, the interesting part is that when I learned how to wholesale, and now what I was doing was putting properties under contract, so I wasn't owning anything. What I found was some of the deals that were coming across my desk that sellers were motivated and they wanted to sell quickly, I was realizing that, well, wait a minute, maybe why don't I find a way to buy it? And I put the money into it and I do the repairs and I put it up for sale. So now I took a system that I was taught in regards to negotiating contracts with sellers and now being able to make even more money because now I'm getting into the fixing it up and selling it part. So fix and flip investing creates value by improving properties and selling them strategically. So there is a system that I've put together so that we can have successful fix and flips. So now instead of making a little bit of money on an assignment, now you're into the bigger money, actually taking on the fix and flip yourself. Here's a real deal example. So one opportunity can create more income than months of overtime. So here's one deal that I did is that the seller was asking $530,000. I negotiated them down to $425,000, which I teach my students how to do. I assigned this to another buyer for $455,000. The deal closed in 29 days. I made $30,000 profit. That is exciting on its own. The more exciting part that I love is that site and owner unseen. So I did not go to the location. I never met the seller face to face. I never even met the buyer on the property face to face. I literally did this. Everything was remote. This is where wealth is created. This is where freedom is created. There's money freedom that was created with this transaction. There was time freedom that was created with this location. And then there was location freedom that was created. because I could have been anywhere, which I was because I was on vacation. Now imagine going away on vacation and you come home and money's been wired into your account while you've been gone versus money that you spent on your trip. So think about that one. Here's another example. Systems in action can turn opportunities into profits. This seller was asking $420,000. I negotiated them to $317,000. I was able to assign it for also $317,000. And I negotiated with the buyer that I wanted half of the profit that they were going to make. We went in, we did minor repairs. We put it back on the market with a real estate agent. The property sold in 136 days. My profit, so my half of the profit of this deal was $55,000. I never went to the location. I never met the buyer at the location. I never met the seller at the location. I never met the realtor who sold the property for us. And I never met the buyer who bought it in 136 days. I literally just got good at negotiating and finding motivated sellers. And that's the things that I teach my students to do as well. What my students learn, I teach step-by-step systems designed to shorten the learning curve. Because I can tell you, I've been doing this a long time. And for me, it's not like I learned overnight, but what I have done is I've distilled it into simple steps so that now doesn't have to take you 5, 10, or 15 years. I've literally condensed decades of what I've learned into days. And this is where you can benefit from that. 3 things every investor needs: education, accountability, and action. Education. I'm not talking about YouTube University. I'm not talking about going on YouTube, watching some guy that claims to be a guru that says, go out and do this and this and this, and you're gonna be rich overnight. I am talking about real live education, real action education, where it's from me being your mentor, your coach, to be able to teach you exactly what it is that I've learned. And I'm going to tell you, here's a big secret, is I find that education is based on mistakes. What do I mean by that? I share my mistakes with you. I share where I went wrong so that you don't have to. I've already taken all the, we'll say, speed bumps. I've banged my head against the wall. I've lost the money. I've done all of the wrong ways of doing it. So my way of educating is telling you, okay, go this way, don't do this, this, and this. Go that way, don't do that, that, and that. And that, I believe, is important because I like to engage with my students, not just talk at you, but to literally engage you so that literally you can run with what I'm teaching you to do. Literally implement it right away. Accountability, okay? I say this to my students all the time. How many of us, right? I know that I can't see you, but if show of hands, how many of us have a gym membership, but we haven't used it? How many of us should have a gym membership, but we probably won't use it? Okay. So all of us, most of us fall victim to accountability. Is that a lot of us, we need that. Now, I know if I get a gym membership, I'm all stoked. I can go into the parking lot, right? And guess what? I got to go in. I'm not going to have a six pack. I'm not going to be buff. I'm not going to be healthy. I'm not going to get my cardio in from sitting in my car in the parking lot. Now, I can tell you, when a trainer is meeting me at 6 o'clock in the morning at the gym, I'm going to be there because I don't want to look bad. I don't want them to yell at me. I don't want to feel like a loser. I want to show up as my best self. So that's what coaching does. That's what I do with my students, is I keep their feet to the fire. And you can talk to any of them, is that I make them accountable. My favorite line is I'll say, okay, do this. They'll say, when? I say, now. Because I'm going to tell you something. Now is the best time. Whatever it is that you want to do, whatever the thought is, what do we do right now? Action ties right into it, is you've got to take action. A lot of investors take the knowledge. Okay, I know, I know, I know. They do nothing with it. That is not the way to make money in real estate. Where most people get stuck, most people spend years preparing and never start. So many of my students will be sitting there going, but I got another question. I got another question. Don't get me wrong. I understand it is normal. I have a lot of questions. I get it. I call it getting caught in the weeds. I say that to my students all the time. You're in the weeds. Let's get you out of the weeds. Let's get you over here, because you don't want to get stuck in knowledge. Because I believe that what's my saying? Ignorance on fire is better than knowledge on ice. So ignorance on fire means you're taking action, you're doing it. Just go in there and do it. And with my coaching alongside of you, I'm going to definitely make sure that nothing bad happens to you. You know, trusting that is that I've been there, done that. Knowledge on ice just simply means that you're not doing anything with it. Never starting. I know so many people going, yeah, you know, I shoulda, coulda, woulda. I shoulda this, I shoulda that, and they should all over themselves. Okay? I don't want that for you. I really want you to take the things that I would coach you on, that I would teach you about real estate, the opportunities I've had. It's great that I've had this success. It's great that I've done this for 35 plus years. That's all fine. This is about you. This is about your dreams, your goals. Where do you see yourself? How can an extra $30,000 help you? How can an extra $55,000 help you? Do you want to, you know, money for your families? Do you want money to, you know, your aging parents? Do you want to retire a spouse? Maybe you don't want to work anymore. Maybe you don't like your job. A lot of my students say to me, I don't want to work at my job anymore, even though they're highly educated. A simple strategy that you can use today: find one distressed property and one investor looking for opportunities. It's not about taking big action. It's about taking action. You can go on for distressed properties. You can see them on the multiple listing service. You can see them if you're in Canada, the realtor.ca. If you're in the US, realtor.com. You can look at both of those sites. Look at properties that have been for sale for over 30 days. Look for properties in the pictures that they look distressed. They need work. Something's going on. Maybe they need an update. Maybe it's been trashed. Maybe it was a tenant in it. And then what you want to do is that now you want to reach out to an investor and say, hey, who's looking for deals? Who's looking for properties that, you know, need some work? So that would be my challenge for you today. I love challenging my students. So that would be my challenge for you right now is don't just sit here and listen to what I'm saying, but actually go out, have one conversation with a realtor who has, you know, access to distressed properties, one investor. Nice, easy way of getting started. Believe me, calling them up and just saying, look, I'm a real estate investor, they will do all the talking. Realtors love doing all the talking. Ways to work with me: I have digital programs. They're all pre-recorded if that's the choice that you want. I also do group coaching for the wholesaling as well as fix and flip, depending on where you are in your journey. And I also do one-on-one mentorship. To learn more, you can see me at my website at www.theresabeneteau.com. What could your life look like in 12 months? The actions you take today can and they will, trust me on that, they will shape your future opportunities. What do I mean by that? If you do nothing today, that you've simply watched this and went, oh, okay, that's nice. Yep, you know, someday. Well, I'm going to tell you, in 12 months from now, you're going to be maybe watching this video again and going, you know what, where would I be? Where would I have been if I would have reached out to Theresa? Where would I be right now if I would already have my first deal? Now imagine that you take action today and you do something with what I'm sharing with you today. Imagine in 12 months from now that you'd have the option to leave your job. Imagine that you'd have the chance to take a trip anywhere that you want to go without giving notice. Imagine that maybe you're sitting on a beach and you have a beach life and you want to just do deals from the beach with a laptop. Imagine in 12 months from now that everything was going great today, but in 12 months from now your parents need you because something has happened in their life and you need to take care of them. These are the reasons why I do real estate, is for the freedom. And I've been able to be there for my son growing up through his teenage years and care for my parents until my dad went into a nursing home. These are the things that I was able to do that I would not have been able to do if I had a regular job. So today will shape your future opportunities. I invite you to book a free strategy call with me. Let's create a personalized roadmap for your real estate goals. Everybody is different. Every call that I make with every potential student, they're at different walks of life, different backgrounds. They live in different countries, mostly Canada and US. They're looking at investing in the US. Some are investing in Canada. Either or, we have a strategy for that as well. I really invite you to take me up on my 30 minutes. Let's figure out where you are. Let's figure out where it is you want to go. Let's figure out that gap so that we can tighten it up. We can get you to where you want to go. And I thank you for the opportunity. I thank you for your time in watching this. If this was meant for you, I look forward to our next meeting. If this is meant for someone that you know, please pass this along. Please pass on my barcode, my website. Please pass on this information. If there's anyone that I can free from, if I can free you from maybe yourself, maybe the bondage of a job, maybe, the financial restraints. I don't know how many times in a day someone might say, hey, can we do this? And you say, I don't have the money. Or if they say, hey, can we do that? I don't have the time. Let's find a way that I can help you make the money, make the time, so that you can live your best life that you're meant to live. Thank you, and I hope to see you on the next video.